It always takes. Okay. So write your name in the chat. It seems like a lot of you are doing that right now. To get attendance for today. Please just a reminder, the chat is really only for taking attendance or maybe asking questions, but don't use it to like have personal conversations. I kind of had something happen yesterday. So no personal conversations in the chat. I don't even feel like that should be something I have to say, but I'm just gonna say it. Just use it to write your name in there, okay? And let's go through some of these ACT questions. So this first one, we have this inequality here. So 6 times x plus 2 is greater than 7 times x minus 5. We want to know which one, like what is this equivalent to? So basically we need to solve this inequality. So let's just go through it. So we have 6 times x plus 2 is greater than 7 times x minus 5. So I'm just going to distribute into both of these. Use that distributive property first. So this becomes 6x plus 12 is greater than 7x minus 35. Then I'm going to subtract the 7x over to this side. If you did it the other way, you're going to end up at the same answer. Doesn't matter. And then I'm going to subtract the 12 over to this side. So on the left, I'm just left with negative x because these cancel out. These cancel out, so it's greater than negative 47. Then I have to divide by a negative, or you could multiply by a negative, either way. But remember that one, it's kind of a weird property, but whenever you divide or multiply by a negative with an inequality, it flips the inequality. So then this is going to become x is less than positive 47. So our answer here is E. Okay, is there any questions on that one? Okay, let's look at 30. So this one, the sides of a square, oh look, I can zoom in. The sides of a square are 3 centimeters long. One vertex of the square is at 2, 0. So let's just graph this. Oh, whoops. So one vertex is here at 2, 0. And we want to know which of the following points could also be a vertex of this square. So if the square is 3 centimeters long, that means that we could go 3 this way, and there's a point. We could go 3 up. There would be a point. You could go 3 to the left. There would be another point. Or I could go 3 down. There would be that point. Or also, we could think of that as being like the corner of our square. So this could potentially be a point. This could be a point. This could be a point. And this could be a point. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possible points for other vertices of this square. But then we can just look through our list. So like negative 4, 0, that's not one of them. 0, 1, that's not one. 1, negative 1, no. 4, 1, no. 5, 0, yes. This point right here is 5, 0. So our answer there is K. We good with that one? Any questions with that one? Okay, this one. So 31. We're given a triangle FGH, and we want to know what is an expression for y in terms of x. So basically, we need to solve it for y. And since this is a right triangle here, we can use Pythagorean theorem. Remember, on right triangles, they're the ones with the special properties. So for right triangles, you can use Pythagorean theorem, you can use SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA is not going to help us right here, but Pythagorean theorem will. So that's the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Well, so we could say that a is x, so x squared plus 4 squared equals y squared, which that would be x squared. Why does it keep doing that? This would be x squared plus 16 equals y squared. And I could square root these. So we get y equals the square root of x squared plus 16. Questions at all with that one?
Sorry, would that not simplify down to x plus 4?
No. So think about if this inside was if we could factor x squared plus 16 to be x plus 4 and x plus 4, then yes. But that does not factor to be that, because if we were to multiply that back out, you get x squared plus 8x plus 16. So this does not equal that. This actually factors to be x plus 4i and x minus 4i. And there's not like a pair that you could pull out there. So this answer right here is kind of to throw you off. Okay, be careful there. It is this. It does not simplify down to that. That's a good question, though. Any other questions on this one? Okay. All right, let's do this last one. So a bag contains 12 red marbles, 5 yellow marbles, and 15 green marbles. We want to know how many additional red marbles must be added to the 32 already in the bag so that the probability is 3/5. So right now, we know that there's 32 marbles total, and we know that 12 of those are red. So right now, the probability of drawing this, it would be 12 out of 32. And we want that to be 3/5. So there's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to show you both ways. I'm going to show you one where it's kind of more guess and check, and then one where you just set up an equation. They're giving us answers here. So always use the answers when you can. This first one is saying, okay, well, what if we add 13 red marbles to this? So let's just try it. So if we add 13 red marbles, that means we're going to have 12 plus 13 on the top. And those 13 marbles also get added to the total number of marbles, right? So then this would be 25 out of 45, which then that reduces to be 5/9, right? Yeah, because 5 goes into both of those, which 5/9 is not 3/5. So it is not 13 marbles. So then we could try 18 marbles. So say we had 18, so we could do 12 plus 18 over 32 plus 18, which 12 plus 18, that's 30. 32 plus 18 is 50, which that reduces to be 3/5, which is exactly what we wanted. So the answer here would be 18 marbles. Some people like to do this more of like setting up an equation. That's how I initially had done it. And we're using a similar setup to like what we were doing right here. So we want 12 plus some number of marbles, so some number of red marbles, over 32 plus some number of red marbles, because the 12 over 32 is what we started with. The x's are the marbles we're adding. And we want this to equal 3/5. So you could set up like a proportion here. And then from here, you could solve this just by cross multiplying. You can only ever cross multiply over an equal sign. I think we get that confused a little bit. You only cross multiply over an equal sign. So then this ends up being 5 times 12 plus x equals 3 times 32 plus x. And if you solve this down, you end up getting x equals 18. So that is just another way to get the answer without using answers already given to you. Okay, questions with any of those? Okay, today, so we're moving into a new unit. This unit it's a lot of like solving stuff. We're also going to graph rational equations. It's kind of a weird unit, but so we're starting with systems of equations, and you have done systems before. So hopefully this seems like review, or it is review. We're going to go through just a couple word problems, because I think if we go through the word problems, then we're going over how to solve the systems also. So let's look at this one right here. a man has 27 coins in his pocket, which is a lot of coins. Like, I don't, his pants must be heavy, but all of which are dimes and quarters. If the total value of his change is 5.25 cents, we want to know how many dimes and how many quarters does this man have. So we need to set up an equation. And I think that's the hardest part of these problems is actually setting up the equations. I think once we get them set up, a lot of times you guys are good just solving them. So let's look at, so he has, let's figure out what's important to us. He has 27 coins total. So I'm just going to write that over here. We have 27 total coins. We have dimes and quarters. And the total value of his change is 525 cents. So we don't have to deal with decimals because we're just doing this with cents, which is easy for us. So we have two variables here. We have dimes and we have quarters. And let's just call the dimes D and let's call the quarters Q. Makes it pretty easy. So each dime is worth 10 cents. And each quarter is worth 25 cents. So from this information, we should be able to set up two equations here. So first, we're going to use this total coins is 27. So if he has 27 total coins, that means his dimes plus his quarters equals 27. There's 27 dimes and quarters. Don't know what is what. So we could just do D plus Q equals 27. And then we can use this 525 cents now. So we know that each dime is worth 10 cents. So this would be 10 per dime. And each quarter is 25 cents. So 25 per quarter is equal to 525 cents total. Okay. Any questions with how we set up the equations? Okay. So once we get the equation set up, you could use substitution here or elimination. I'm going to do elimination just because I like elimination better. Once we get to 3 variable equations, we have to use elimination, so it's good to practice elimination as much as possible. And I'm going to eliminate the D's. So I'm going to multiply this top equation by -10. Okay, so then this will distribute into all of these. So that's going to be -10D minus 10Q. And that equals -10 times 27 is -270. And then we can just add these equations. So the D's cancel out. 15 or 25 minus 10 is 15. So we have 15Q. And that equals 525 minus 270 is 255. We could easily solve this for Q. Just divide that by 15. And we get quarters is whatever that is divided by 15. So 17. So we have 17 total quarters. And then you can probably do this next part in your head. So if we had 27 coins total, and we know 17 of those are quarters, that means the other 10 of those must be dimes. Or if we need to use the equation, that's fine. Also, we could just go plug this back in to either one of these. I'm going to use the top one. It's a little bit easier because then we have dimes plus the 17 quarters is 27. So we could just subtract that 17, which means we have 10 dimes. Any questions with that? Okay. All right, I have one more word problem. This next one is like the setup is kind of weird. Once we get it set up, again, I think you'll be fine. So let's go to this next one. So we have this professor who he sells cashews for $6 a pound, and he sells Brazil nuts for $5.40 per pound. And we want to know how much of each nut, so how many cashews, or how many pounds of cashews, how many pounds of Brazil nuts should be used to make an 18-pound mixture that sells for $5.62 per pound. Okay, the setup on this one is probably the hardest part of it. So let's think about what our important parts of this are. We know that he's selling cashews for $6, and we know that he's selling Brazil nuts for $5.40. And we're making a 38-pound mixture for $5.62 per pound. That per pound is important. All of these per pounds are important. Okay, so let's just draw this out. So if we have like some bag here of cashews. And those cashews cost $6 per pound. So however many pounds, like if you had 3 pounds there, it'd be $18. And then we also have another pound or another bag of Brazil nuts. And those cost $5.40. And if we combine those, you get an even bigger bag of cashews and Brazil nuts. And we get a 38-pound bag. And this has cashews and Brazil nuts in it. And this bag is $5.62 per pound, which makes sense because if this is $6, this is $5.40. A mixture of them would be somewhere in between there. So let's think about how to set up an equation. The first equation is pretty easy. We know that however many pounds of cashews plus however many pounds of Brazil nuts is going to equal the 38 pounds. So the first one would just be C plus B equals 38. So that's like the pounds of cashews plus the pounds of Brazil nuts equals 38. For this next part, we want to know like how much does this 38-pound bag cost? And it does not cost $5.62. That makes no sense that it would cost that. That's per pound. So if we know that there's 38 pounds there, we can just take the 38 and multiply it by the 562. And that will give us how much this big bag of nuts costs. So we have 38 times 562, which is $213.56. So the total cost of this big bag is $213.56. So from that, now we can set up our second equation. So we have $6 per each pound of cashews plus $5.40. And I'm just going to put 5.4. That's the same thing, if that's okay. Per each pound of Brazil nuts. And that is going to equal 213.56. Okay, questions with that? All right, then at this point, we have two equations, two variables. We can solve this. Again, I'm just going to use elimination. I'm going to multiply this top equation by -6. So this goes into all of these, and I get -6c minus 6b equals 38 times -6 is -228. So the 6 c's cancel. 5.4 minus 6 is -0.6. B equals 213.56 minus 228 is -14.44. And then we're going to divide by -0.6. So B equals, we get 24.4 0.0666, but we're rounding to the nearest pound. So we're just going to call this 24 pounds. So we have 24 pounds of Brazil nuts. Now from that, again, probably can do this in your head, but if we had 38 pounds altogether, 24 of those are Brazil nuts. That means the other 14 must be cashews. Or if we want to set up the equation, that's fine. So it'd be cashews plus the 24 pounds of Brazil nuts equals 38. Subtract that 24. So you get the cashews equals 14 pounds. Is there any questions with that? Okay. I think you guys should be good for the homework. The first couple ones are graphing ones, so you have to solve it by graphing. Make sure you just put a point like where they cross each other, because sometimes the graph gets a little temperamental, so you might have to play around with it for a sec. And then there's a bunch of just solving ones, and then the bottoms are the ones with the word problems. Okay, please don't use Photomath. It doesn't help you learn anything. It just gives you the answers. So please don't use it. I feel like you guys are pretty good about that. But any questions? Okay, there's nothing for tomorrow. So tomorrow's just do whatever you need for your other classes. You don't have to do anything for this class. If you haven't already, put your name into the chat so that I can make sure you get attendance for today. And that's all I have for you guys. So you guys are welcome to just start working on your homework or do whatever you do.
Thanks, Ms. Gagan.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.